Hello, good morning everyone. I am Sunil Kumar Vishwakarma, working as an assistant professor in the Department of Computer Science and Engineering, School of Engineering, Babu Banarsi Das University, Lucknow. In the last lecture, we have discussed about the data link layer, error control techniques, and the sliding window protocol. Today, we are going to discuss the design issues of the network layer. So first of all, network layer is the layer 3 of the OSI model. And what are the functions of the network layer? The main function of the network layer is the delivery of packets from source to destination. It ensures the delivery of all the packets from source to destination. Here we call the data in the form of packets. Okay. Now the network layer, also known as the packet layer, is the third lowest layer or the uppermost subnet layer, we can say, and it is responsible for the following tasks. The tasks are determining address or translating from hardware to network addresses, and these addresses may be on a local network or they may refer to the network located elsewhere on the any internetwork. So one of the function of the network layer is to provide capabilities needed to communication or to communicate on an internetwork. The second responsibility of the network layer is finding a route between a source and a destination node or between two intermediate nodes, because the responsibility of the network layer is to transfer the packets from source to destination. So route finding is also the function of the network layer. Now the third is establishing and maintaining a logical connection between these two nodes to establish either a connectionless or connection oriented communication. Connection may be two types of services. It may be connection oriented or connectionless communication. So the data is processed and transmitted using the data link layer below the network layer. So the responsibility for guaranteeing proper delivery of the packets lies with the transport layer, which uses network layer services, because all the layers are connected through interfaces in the OSI model. So the basic purpose of the network layer is to provide an end-to-end communication capability in contrast to machine-to-machine communication provided by the data link layer. So this end-to-end connection, or we can say this end-to-end is performed using two different basic approaches known as connection oriented or connectionless network layer services. The network layer is concerned with getting packets from source all the way to the destination. Getting to the destination may require making many hops at intermediate routers along the way. For example, what is hop? If there is a network, there are some devices, node 1, node 2, node 3, node 4, and these 4 devices are connected through some communication link. Okay. I have shown these 4 devices in the form of circle, and these are connected through lines, and these are the communication lines. So network layer is responsible for transmission of data, from this device to this device, means end to end delivery of the packets from this node to this node. So for end to end delivery of the packets all the way, which layer is responsible? Network layer is responsible. But it is not possible to send data directly from this first node to fourth node. So for this it uses these two intermediate nodes for this example. So data will transfer from this node to this node to this node, node 1 to 2, and after that node 2, node 3, and after that node 3 to node 4, and this is known as hop to hop delivery or node to node delivery. Hop to hop delivery or node to node delivery. So this is fact that getting to the destination may require making many hops at intermediate routers along the way. So if there are 4 devices in the network as shown above, these circles are known as representing computers. So if station 1 and station 4 wants to communicate, so these 2 intermediate devices will act as router in this network. Okay, so this function clearly contrasts with that of the data link layer, which has the more modest goal of just moving frames from one end of the wire to the other. Thus the network layer is the lowest layer that deals with end-to-end transmission. To achieve these goals, the network layer must know about the topology of the communication subnet. Subnet means the part of the network, that is the set of all the routers, and choose appropriate paths through it. It must also take care to choose routes to avoid overloading some of the communication lines and routers while leaving others idle. Finally, when the source and destination are in different networks, new problem occur. It is up to the network layer to deal with them. Okay. Now the data is processed and transmitted using the data link layer below the network layer. So the responsibility for guaranteeing proper delivery of the packets lies with the transport layer, which uses network layer services. Okay, the network layer controls the operation of the subnet. A key design issue is determining how packets are routed from source to destination. So routes can be based on some tables, static tables that are wired into the network and rarely changed. They can be determined at the start of each conversation. For example, a terminal session, for example, a logic to a remote machine. Finally, they can be highly dynamic, being determined anew for each packet to reflect the current network load. One more thing, that this routing decision is based on the current traffic and current topology. So there are 2 types of routing techniques, static and dynamic. In the static routing technique, routing decisions are taken in advance and that is not changed, and that does not depend to the current topology or current traffic. But in the dynamic routing techniques, routing decision is taken into the consideration the properties, current properties, that is current traffic in the network, current topology of the network. These things matters. Okay, so if too many packets are present in the subnet at the same time, they will get into one another's way, and due to that there is bottlenecks. The control of such congestion also belongs to the network layer. So more generally we can say the quality of service provided, and within the quality of service provided, delay, transit time, there are many more things, is also a network layer issue. Okay, when a packet has to travel from one network to another to get to its destination, many problems can arise. The addressing used by the second network may be different from the first one. The second one may not accept the packet all because it is too large. It may be too large. The protocols may differ and so on, and it is up to the network layer to overcome all these problems. So the network layer is very responsible for, and it is important for the transferring of data from one point of network to the another. So there are 4 issues: interfaces between the host and the network, routing issue, congestion issue, and the internetworking issue. Okay, now the store and forward packet switching. Store and forward packet switching. You know already that in packet switching, the message is divided into several packets, and those packets follow different path. In this diagram, it is shown that this oval shape represents the subnet. Subnet means the part of the network, and in this part of the network, or in subnet, there are how many devices? A, B, C, D, E, 5 devices, and these devices acts as a router, because host 1 is running, and in host 1 there is a process P1, and there is host 2, and there is another application running application program, that is process P2, and host 2 is on the LAN, and there is another device end system F2 which is on the LAN. Okay, so if a process P1 wants to communicate process P2, it wants to send some packets. So first of all, H1 will send the packets to the router A, and after that router A will decide that on which link the packet should be forwarded, from A to B or A to C. These decisions are taken, and it can be depend on the current traffic and current topology. Okay, in packet switching there is no fixed path. Packets are routed independently, they follow different route, and at the destination they are reassembled. So this oval is known as the here it is shown carriers equipment, and the devices are known as routers within this oval, and this is the packet. Here it is shown packet 1. There may be so many packets in the subnet. Okay, now the services provided to this transport layer. The network layer provides services to the transport layer with the help of network layer and the transport layer interface. And an important question is, what kind of services the network layer provides to the transport layer? The network layer services have been designed with the following goals in the mind. What are the services that has been designed with the following goals? The first goal is the services should be independent of the router technology. The services should be independent of the router technology. The second goal is the transport layer should be shielded from the number, type, and topology of the routers present. It does not affect the functionalities of the transport layer, that how many routers are there, what is the topology. Okay, Now the third goal is the network addresses made available to the transport layer should use a uniform numbering plan even across the multiple local area networks and the wide area networks. Given these goals, the designers of the network layer have a lot of freedom in writing detailed specification of the services that is offered to the transport layer. So this freedom often degenerates into a raging battle between two varying factions. The discussion centers on whether the network layer should provide connection oriented service or connectionless service. Connection oriented service, for example, telephone conversation is the connection oriented service. Okay, there is one-to-one communication, but in connectionless service, the example of connectionless service can be the walkie-talkie communication through walkie-talkie, because in a certain area if somebody tells something through walkie-talkie, the other devices only listen. There is no one-to-one communication. Okay, that it means that is connectionless. OnCamp argues that the router's job is moving packets around and nothing else. In their view, the subnet is inherently unreliable no matter how it is designed. Therefore, the hosts should accept the fact that the network is unreliable and do error control and flow control themselves. Okay, so this viewpoint leads quickly to the conclusion that the network service should be connectionless with primitives send packet and receive packet and some little else. Okay, in particular, no packet ordering and flow control should be done. No packet ordering and flow control should be done. Okay, because the hosts are going to do that anyway, and there is usually little to be gained by doing it twice. Furthermore, each packet must carry the full destination address, because each packet sent is carried independently of its predecessors, if any. Okay, the other camp represented by the telephone companies argues that the subnet should provide a reliable connection oriented service. So they claim that 100 years of successful experience with the worldwide telephone system is an excellent guide. In this view, quality of service is the dominant factor. These two camps are best exemplified by the internet and the ATMs. The internet offers connectionless network layer services. ATM network offer connection oriented network layer services. However, it is interesting to note that as quality of service guarantees are becoming more and more important, the internet is evolving. So this is the implementation of connectionless service. Here in this diagram, there is a process P1 within the host H1, and there is another process P2 in the host H2, and this is the subnet, and it is also known as carrier's equipment. There are messages divided into packets. There are 4 packets is shown in this figure. Packet 1 here, and packet 2, packet 3, and packet 4. They can follow different routes. So as I have already told you that these A, B, C, D, E routers, these devices acts as a router, and they take the decision for the routing of the packets. So below this diagram, there is tables maintained by each and every router. So A is stable initially and later. Initially A, B, C, D, E, F is shown in the first column. These represents the routers. From A to A, there is no next node is required if A wants to go to A. But if A wants to go to B, that will use next node to B. So in the destination line there is B in the second column in the A's table. Okay, for going to C it will use C, for going to D it will use B, next line will use to B. So A to D there is B, here it is written B. If A to D, the next line will be B. A to E, the next line will be C. Okay, and A to F, next line will be C. This is one situation of A's table. It can be different also, and later the situation can be changed. See here, in the last, from A to E, A to F, it can be changed. It is changed to B. This routing decision can be changed at another time. So in this way, all the routers maintains its own table. Okay. So two different organizations are possible depending on the type of services offered. If connectionless service is offered, packets are injected into the subnet individually and routed independently of each other. So no advanced setup is needed. In this context, the packets are frequently called datagrams, and the subnet is called datagram subnet. But in the case of connection-oriented service, a path from the source router to the destination router must be established before any data packet can be sent. So this connection is called a virtual circuit. Okay, and this is in analogy with the physical circuits set up by the telephone systems, and the subnet is called a virtual circuit subnet. Okay, so here we can assume that the message is 4 times longer than the maximum packet size. So the network layer has to break into 4 packets, as we have seen the previous diagram 1, 2, 3 and 4, and sends each of them in the turn to router A and using some point-to-point protocols. Okay, so for connection oriented services we need a virtual circuit subnet. Let us see how that works. The idea behind virtual circuit is to avoid having to choose a new route from every packet sent. Instead, when a connection is established, a route from the source machine to the destination machine is chosen. As part of the connection setup and stored in tables inside the routers, that route is used for all traffic flowing over the connection, exactly the same way that the telephone system works. When this connection is released, the virtual circuit is also terminated. With connection oriented service, each packet carries an identifier telling which virtual circuit it belongs to. Now the routing within a virtual circuit subnet. Okay, this is the virtual circuit situation shown this figure. In the previous diagram it is shown that the packet 1 is following another route and packet 2 is following another route. Here all the packets are following the same route, same circuit. In this regard, there is A stable, C stable and E stable. Okay, here it is shown in this diagram, this concept. Now the comparison of virtual circuit and datagram subnets. There are 3 columns. In first column there is issue regarding the datagram subnet and the virtual circuit subnet. The first issue is circuit setup. So in datagram subnets there is no circuit setup is required. It is not needed because every packet can follow different path. But in virtual circuit subnet, circuit setup is required because all the packets follow the same route, same circuit. Next issue is addressing. Each packet contains the full source and destination address in the datagram subnet. But in the case of virtual circuit subnet, each packet contains a short virtual circuit number, VC number, we can say it VC number. State information. Routers do not hold state information about connections. Each virtual circuit requires router table space per connection. Okay. If we talk about the routing, each packet is routed independently. In case of datagram subnets, each packet is routed independently. They can follow different route. But in virtual circuit subnet, route chosen when VC is set up and all packets follow it. Now the effect of router failures. Effect of router failure in case of datagram subnet is none, except for packets lost during the crash. Otherwise, there is no effect of the on the packets. Okay, because in datagram subnet, if any router fails, that packets can follow different route with the help of different router. But in case of virtual circuit subnet, all the virtual circuit numbers that pass through the failed router are terminated. All the VCs are terminated. Means there is no possibility of communication at that time. Next is quality of service. Quality of service in datagram subnets is difficult. But in virtual circuit subnet, it is easy if enough resources can be allocated in advance for each virtual circuit. If for each virtual circuit, if enough resources are allocated, then it will be good for the quality of service in case of virtual circuit subnets. Now the congestion control. What is congestion? When there are too many packets in the subnet and it is beyond the capacity of the subnet, you can say, then this situation is known as congestion. So for controlling the congestion, it is also the function of the network layer. So congestion control is comparatively difficult in the case of datagram subnets, but in case of virtual circuit subnet, it is easy if enough resources can be allocated in advance for each virtual circuit. Okay, so in this way we can say the congestion control is employed in the virtual circuit subnet. Okay, so this is the comparison of virtual circuit and the datagram subnets. So this was all about the network layer design issues, and in the summarized way we can say that network layer is responsible for the routing of the packets in the subnet, and it is also responsible for the logical addressing. That is, for logical addressing we use two versions, IPv4 and IPv6, and after that congestion control is also the feature of network layer. And what is the main feature of the network layer is network layer is responsible for transferring of all the packets from source to destination. So for this it uses the services of its neighbors, data link layer and the transport layers. Okay, thank you.